You received your first education at the prestigious Sichuan University of China. Yes.
Yes.
And tell us about your career choice.
Okay. Sichuan, as you know, basically is a province in central China, renowned for the hot and spicy food, the Sichuan food. It is hot and spicy. That's where I call hometown. In 1984, I basically took the college entrance exam in China, which at that time was pretty much the only test you took, and then decided where you go. Sichuan University was very prestigious, was very good. But at that time, actually, my first choice was Beijing University, which is almost the best as Tsinghua, right, in China. But because I actually
it was your choice.
My choice was to go to Beijing University, but I didn't do well because of my sickness on the only entrance exam. Then I went to Sichuan University. The reason I went there was because at that time, Sichuan University has the best polymer chemistry program in the country. Which was founded of one of the returnees from the U.S. 30 years before that. So I was pretty happy to do the polymer chemistry and the materials science in Sichuan University, because at that time my thinking was that chemistry makes things better. Basically, chemistry provides insight into how things are formed, the foundation, formulation of life, materials, everything. That's why I choose to major in chemistry. And later on, I wanted to do a lot of research and product development along the way.
During the education? Or?
After the education. Okay. Yeah, 4 years education in Sichuan University. And then 2 years later, actually, I went to Nankai University in Tianjin, which is very close to Beijing. That's another prestigious university in northern part of China, where I continued my graduate education in polymer chemistry, synthetic chemistry, and so on and so forth. Further, getting better educated and trained in chemistry.
Does your decision to move to the USA have anything to do with education?
Yes, indeed. And as you recall, 1990 or circa 1988, about 30-some years ago in China, China was very poor, not very developed. So the education, everybody knows the system is in US, and I decided to go to US, which was not easy, because at that time I had raised about 18,000 yuan to pay off my tuition in China, and also get the tickets, plane ticket, everything to US. But of course, those are only the obstacles for me on the way. But I really wanted to go to US to pursue my additional study in chemistry and other fields. So definitely education was one of the main factors. And at that time, it was so hard to get out of China to go to US, because economically it's challenging. Also, at that time, I think US and China has just resumed the kind of the cooperation or diplomatic relationship there. So I was really lucky to get a visa and go to US. And I was very happy to be admitted to both Princeton University as well as Johns Hopkins University. And later on, since
It was first time, and you say it was hard, I think, difficult for you.
I was, as you can tell, pretty good at language. So language is no barrier. And that time, we have to take the standard as the TOEFL test of English as a foreign language. And I scored perfectly. I got a perfect score on that. And then I also do very well on the GRE, graduate record exam, which is a standardized test for getting to a graduate school in US. So I did very well, and all the major universities gave me the admission letter. I was pretty happy, and also they provide a scholarship, not only for the education as well as my living expense. So I still remember at that time, Princeton University gave me $14,000 at that time, just my living expense. Hopkins gave me 10,000, but since I really wanted to do the chemistry as well as medical related research, then I chose Hopkins. That's how the story went. Yeah. As I said, I was lucky.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yes. Did you have a desire to become a doctor, maybe?
At some point, yes. As I mentioned a moment ago, I really have a strong interest in chemistry, in biology, understand the foundation of life, of how the world is formed. So chemistry definitely is the good one. But later on, since I thought the life itself and all the diseases and the health states are very fascinating, then I thought maybe I want to do more in the medical research or medical related science, right? So I did think about getting a doctor's degree or a medical degree in US. So when I was in the program in Hopkins, I chose the MD PhD program, the dual program. So I wanted to become a doctor, but as we learned more and more about the medical sciences, I thought, okay, being a doctor is great. You can treat a lot of patients, get to relieve the pain and then get the medical disorders done. But I thought, if I become a researcher, if I become a developer of the medical devices, then I can help more doctors treat more patients and touch the lives of more people. So by 30 years, I just dropped my medical degree education and focus exclusively on the science, and I got my PhD a year after that. So that's how I changed my thinking. Instead of treating one patient at a time, I wanted to make devices, combine all the science and engineering, and help more doctors like you to treat patients.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe do you have someone else except you in family, doctors?
Normally, the story goes like that, but in my case, it's different because, my mother and my father were also well educated in China. So they were lucky, fortunate to went to colleges in 1950s in China, which it's very few people had the privilege to go there. So they instill a lot of hard work and good value in me, and just saying, try to help people, try to exploit your talent as much as you can to the largest degree, and help people change the world. That's their dream. So, because I thought I was pretty good at science engineering, because, as you can see from later time, I had a lot of inventions. I have a very good understanding of technologies and so on. And I worked with a lot of doctors because, when I was in the MD PhD program, I was fortunate to have 3 very young doctors as my mentor, part of my advisors. Later on, they all became big shots in immunology, such as the CAR-T and others. Hopkins has a lot of good doctors.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. They're very good. And then later on, they all became the member of National Institute of Medicine, also the Academy of Engineering and Science in US. Truly, I was fortunate to have so many good mentors to help me along the way.
What experience have you had in industrial R&D? And tell us about the most important. The medical device industry in US is leading the world. It's very good. We say US and European and Japanese and so on and so forth. So I was fortunate. Once I get my PhD, I had a choice to go into academia to further my training, take a assistant professorship somewhere, or at that time, I had a choice to get into the industrial research or industry. So because I was just, married at the time. My wife was also a graduate from Hopkins, even though she was a few years ahead of me. You met there?
Actually, we met back in China. We're a college, classmates or sweethearts. And then she went to US in 1988, 2 years before I did. So she finished her degree at Hopkins, PhD in chemical engineering.
2 years before I did. So she stayed there, and then I said, okay, why don't I just get a job somewhere in Baltimore as well? So I went into there and did 5-6 years research, and then we both moved to New Jersey. I joined Johnson & Johnson, and the cardiovascular intervention department or company is called Cordis. At that time, I think I had the fortune. I was really fortunate to get into the program to develop the first ever drug-eluting stent, Cypher. I was very proud of that experience, and then, that became a very...
It was crucial.
Yes, I was really fortunate. And later on, the company gave me the responsibility to be in charge of all the second generation or new generation of drug-eluting devices or drug device combination products. And then at that time, I developed a lot of prototypes and new products. I think I was also one of the early pioneers of drug-coated balloons as well.
Yeah.
So that was 2005, way ahead of other people. We had a huge success with the Cypher, and then we had the second generation, third generation. So that's where I had my glorious research days at that time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then we were successful in developing a lot of products, and also I get to know a lot of standard, bread and butter medical devices such as guide wire sheath, introducer sheath, lung sheath, and then the balloons, high pressure balloons, and then bare metal stents, self-expanding or balloon expanding, and all the, sort of 9 yards, a lot of fun.
Okay.
I really enjoyed my days there.
What direction did you take the company in Cordis? What it was?
Sure. The Cordis, because actually that's a short term for coronary discovery, which was a standard company, a standalone company in Miami, which was acquired by Cordis, by Johnson & Johnson in 1990s. So at that time, you can see, they had a full suite of interventional devices, such as the balloons. Also, the first ever bare metal stent was also, it's called Palm-Shots stent, was also developed by Cordis. So Cordis has a great history of product innovation, product development, and so on. So I was very happy. And at that time, my decision, or at least the direction of our research and the development, was in the combination of device and the drug. Because, for example, if you look at the balloons, your function is to expand basically dilatation or dilate the blood vessel so that the blood can resume the flow again. But because the arteries and so on, they all have the tendency of snap back, they can recoil, sort of get into the narrow the shape again. That's the challenge. But at that time, if you put a drug or medical, we call active pharmaceutical ingredient or drug on the top, and then that can get into the blood vessel, right? That component.
It's not recoil, it's restenosis.
Exactly. Recoil is done by your stent arteries. Restenosis basically is the migration and then the proliferation of smooth muscles into the epithelia or the inner part of that, and gradually build up with the plaque and the lipids and others, right? So in this case, if you have a sustained release of drug locally, you can stop the proliferation and migration of the smooth muscles, which is the cause of your restenosis. So at that time, we're selecting all kinds of chemical compounds or drug. Totally, we probably screened about 200 and others, like cortisone and then paclitaxel, rapamycin, everolimus, and a lot of things, which can potentially stop the proliferation of the smooth muscle, which eventually is the leading cause of restenosis as well. So that was my major application. But of course, that also involves different modalities of treatment, such as liquid injection and a balloon surface and double layer or triple layer.
Okay.
A lot of research, a lot of fun. Indeed.
Nowadays, cord is a balloon, eluting balloon, drug-eluting balloon, very popular. Nowadays, it isn't first one in Russia which has license, but now I don't know why. We need to have more.
Yes. Speaking of that, that's one of the companies that set up in China, Zylox-Tonbridge. We also have almost the largest market share of drug-coated balloon in China for the peripheral. Now for the coronary, one of the reasons I didn't do the coronary upon returning to China was because of my non-compete agreement with Johnson & Johnson. I had 18 months of a non-compete agreement. So I said, okay, since I devoted my 10 years into the coronary intervention, then why don't I just do something else, such as peripheral, as well as later on for the neurovascular intervention. I was among the first pioneers to do the drug-coated balloon because I was collaborating with the famed German doctor Scheiner and Speck. A lot of patents I have at that was among the first blocking patents granted in European countries. And we had a lot of collaborations with Dr. Scheiner and Speck in Germany and marked the first drug-coated balloons in European market.
About your company, how it was born?
Yes, actually I mentioned it a moment ago that I, have done a lot of research and others, and later on I thought the decisions, also the technology they're adopting at Cordis was not totally in aligned with my career. I was leading their efforts in many things, and but at the same time, the company decided to do a lot of things which I think may not be the best for the company, which later on proved that I'm right. You can see. So I decided to change career. Then I say, okay, why don't I just come back to China and start similar, because at that time the level of sophistication for the products, everything in China was lagging behind, much behind the US. And that's where I thought maybe I can do something about it. I can make my own contributions.
Like similar.
Yeah, similar. But of course, different field, as I said. Because coronary, I said, I'll do peripheral.
Yeah.
I'll do neurovascular. Since I know the products, I knew the technology, I have the training, I have the experience of managing product and then technology development in US. I rose the rank very quickly, became one of the youngest research fellows at Johnson & Johnson. Before 40, I was really one of the top researchers at Johnson & Johnson. So I returned to China and, serving different cities, Beijing, Shanghai, the big ones. Also Hangzhou, that's a beautiful city, because I thought maybe it is, all things considered, to be my top choice for the city, because you have the good education. A lot of Zhejiang University is top university in China. You have close to 10 million people, very young people, talented young people, talent pool for engineers and then technical folks. So I decided to set up the company in Hangzhou. Then the first thing I do is to do peripheral intervention. So I started to develop the balloons, high pressure balloons, drug-coated balloons, also drug-eluting stents, the self-expanding for the peripheral vasculature. That's how I started the whole thing. And I get a lot of help from the local community as well as the local government. Give me grant, give me support. Also VCs, venture capitalists as well. Later on, in the spring of 2016. At that time, we thought, because of the few papers published in New England Journal of Medicine that validate the use of clot retrieving stents for the acute ischemic stroke, really much better performance than just enzyme-lytic TPA, whatever, for the dissolving the clots and so on and so forth. So I started the neurovascular intervention as well, which is Tonbridge at that time. So that's how the two different parts of the business.
You started from the bottom, yeah?
Yes.
And your team, how you did it?
How I did it, yes.
Yes.
I was well known in U.S. in terms of researcher and other sort of doctors and so on. So when I returned, I spent 1 to 3 years quietly observing and then talking to friends, recruiting them, asking them to join me as a part of the starting team. So in the end, I was able to get 20, 30 people to join me. And by 2016, 3-4 years later, I think I had 70, 80 people for the company. And then we started the neurovascular intervention as well. So they are also adventurous. They also came over from the other local companies, the multinational companies such as Johnson & Johnson or Medtronic. They're based in China, and then they have a research development center. So I recruited a lot of people from there to join me, and I gradually built up the team, both the research, manufacturing, regulatory, clinical research, and then later on, by 2017-18, also a commercialization team to do sales and marketing and so on and so forth. So it's a process. We started with a few people. I still remember the first year when we had our annual dinner for the Christmas season, 4 people the first year. The second year, we probably had about 20 people. By 2016-18, we have 150 people. Right now, the company has 1,000 people. It's a natural process, building.
Describe all the activities of your company in a few words.
Sure. Well, the company actually is a full-blown company. We strive to provide the total solution for the doctors when they solve the vascular diseases in both the peripheral and the neurovascular space over there. So we give you the balloons, stents, also a lot of devices that utilize the electricities as well. For example, one of the devices we are working on, which I think is very good, is called Avenger, and then that is very similar to TurboHawk, where you basically have an OCT to guide the borrowing devices or tunneling device that removes the CTO and other plaques and so forth, so on and so forth. So we do the research, we do the development, and right now we do the manufacturing and the marketing to the world, both the markets in China and outside of China as well.
And you have FDA and CE mark for some products?
Yeah, most of our products are in China. So approval, we have close to 50 products approved in China. Okay. And for European market, CE mark, we have about 10 products approved. And very soon, I'm pretty happy to report we're going to have the products approved in Russia.
Yes.
And other similar regions as well. For FDA, this year, we're going to have the approval, the first approval. One of the reasons we didn't spend that much efforts in U.S. market is because you can get approval, but not easy to do the distribution. Okay. And you have to find the local partner to do the distribution of your products in U.S. market, which is highly competitive in terms of the distribution.
And all the process is so different, I think, yeah? FDA or CE mark or Russian license, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. They're different.
The most expensive?
US.
US?
Of course. Most expensive US. I mean, there are different venues or different ways to get products approved in US. So, for example, you have PMA, pre-marketing approval, which requires clinical studies.
That's clinical approbation.
Yes. Oh, that's very costly. But for a lot of devices which are a little bit more established, and then if the FDA knows that very well, then you can do the 510K, which basically, you are exempt of the clinical trials and so on, but you can do the comparison, head to head, the similarities, dissimilarities of the existing products that we call the predicate devices, and then you get approval. So that's the US. US is the most difficult to get it and most costly. Then actually, right now the China certificate is problem number 2. It's so hard to get. especially when you do the clinical trials, because the regulatory agency NMPA in China, which is equivalent of FDA in US, is very tough, very rigid. They require large sample size, a lot of follow-up, a lot of results in order to get approval in China. But European countries, which I think CE is okay, but they're really slow right now. Because of the migration, transition from MDD to MDR devices, regulations, that takes quite a bit of time. My understanding is that there's a special approval process in Russia in addition to the CE marks. Somewhat that's my impression. But anyway, we're pretty happy. We're very close.
What makes your company unique?
Very good question. Just like every father, you're, very proud all your kids are unique and so on. So, which is similar to my company, which is Zylox-Tonbridge. I think, this company is unique in several aspects. Number one, the company is located in China, but is operated pretty much the same way as the US company. So, for example, the governance of the company, we have the CEO, VP of research, commercialization, everything. They're just based on the merits, the talents of the company. It's not a whole family. It's not a whole family business in China. So you basically have the top talents from both US and China to develop the things, which I think is also close to the leading edge of the industry. So we are a technology-based company. We're run using the standard US company or Western, practice to run the company. But at the same time, you're also located in China, so you want to utilize the talent pools or the labors or just, all the resources in China. So we design and produced in China, but we supply the world. So the gene is basically US sort of research and development, but you also have the assembly, manufacturing, everything done in China. That's the unique part. Also, our philosophy, our work ethics are pretty much aligned with the US companies. Very, very much westernized. A lot of people in the company can speak English, and also they're educated in UK, US, Japan as well. So I think that's a unique part.
Okay, and your office looks very interesting because it has a gym, for example, some areas for...
you went to my office? You already went to my office?
No, here, I mean...
Oh, you mean also building? I invite you to go to my office later, huh?
Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah,
and because
thank you.
Actually, yes, you mentioned another point. The building.
This is a team.
Yeah, the team, you see, is very much westernized.
Yeah.
Very simple, low-key, functional, not, lavish or extravagant.
View.
Yeah, yes, beautiful. We have the lake outside, and I don't know if you noticed, I have a running track inside the park. We have this running, because I run all the time. I run marathons. Okay. So we have the running. I cultivated the culture where everybody should be happy, should physically strong and running around, things like that. And then the building is very much the family setting, very easy, comforting. Indeed, it's because of me, because I like arts, I like music, I like sports.
About sport.
Yes.
You only run or triathlon maybe?
You mean for running?
Yeah.
Oh, before that, I play sports all the time, basketball, and I swim.
I mean, triathlon.
A triathlon? Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yes. I haven't done that. Only because...
Ironman?
Not yet. I wanted to do it, but I do marathons. I do cross-country races, but I haven't done the triathlon. Only because I swim very well. I can ride bicycles. I can run, but problem is I don't have time to train for rigorous training for half Ironman or full Ironman, which I know the rules. I can do it. One of the days I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Ironman.
I do run, yeah.
Cool.
Too, yeah. Marathon, it's nice. It's cool, yeah.
Not easy for you.
For our mind, it's like refresh your mind.
Yes, but I think you're too strong to be a runner. You're strong. That's why I cut down my muscles and just to cardio. My best marathon time is 3 hours 20 minutes. So I know I'm relatively good.
Yeah.
That was
You prefer that kind of sport, yeah?
Yes. I play soccer. I play football.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was young. Also, I swim a lot when I was young. But right now, it's just not enough time. But running is fun because when I get off to work, I just go outside, just run 5K, 10K, and come back refreshed.
Good, cool.
Yeah, relieve the my stress.
Maybe you have some hobbies.
I say busy executive of the company, so the CEO, chairman of the company. I really don't have a lot of time. But in speaking of hobby, right now my main hobby is running.
Okay.
Sort of different. Last year I ran 10 marathons.
10?
Yes, last year. Very high intensity, but at the same time, I love writing. Also arts and music as well. The Russian Tchaikovsky, all the things.
Okay.
I listen to classic music all the time, and of course I mentioned to you a moment ago I like wines.
Okay.
Also I like the whiskey and cognac. Everything. I have a good collection of expensive wines.
Do you have Armenian cognac?
I heard of it, and then I have Romanian, also Bulgarian, and the Turkish as well. Okay. I have it. Many friends, they knew me. They just gave me a souvenir. Sometimes I think Georgian wines are very good, I heard.
Oh. Okay.
Right, from Georgia, they told me the wine.
Yes.
I tried a few, but of course my friend.
Yeah, I know it, but I'm wondering that you know that because it's not so popular in general. I'm thinking in the world, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But the best I still think are from France, Spain, and then Italy.
Yeah.
And the New World, Australia, also as South Africa, Chile. Chile also has very good wines.
Yeah, I know. And Portugal.
Portugal.
Green wines.
Absolutely.
I do like green wines.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I'm old school. I like the Bordeaux and Burgundy.
I see that, yeah.
And Italian wines, those Sicilia, those.
What are your plans for the Russian market in general? Maybe you have.
Sure. Life is full of surprises and serendipity. We had a plan for European countries, also East European countries and Russia. But right now, suddenly, Russian markets and East European markets become important to us because of a chance interaction with one of the distributors based in Hong Kong. He knows the Mikhail very well. And he said, Mikhail, actually, I'm probably is going to switch, partnership and so on. So it's a good opportunity for you guys to know him. He's very capable. The company is good. So we immediately hooked up with Mikhail. And then we had a very good interaction, both us and Mikhail, like each other. We have a similar philosophy. Everything is okay. Let's have a bigger push for the Russian market, and that's why we are full of hope. And we started the early, probably August or September fashion last year. We had 2-3 discussions. I said, yes, let's go in there. And because it's good market, very good surgeons, and I know we talking about.
It's not only one product, I think. Yeah.
No, a lot of things.
A lot.
Yeah, I think we are applying the product approval in Russia, 8 or 10 products.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah, not a 1 or 2. If we want to do it, we do it big.
Okay.
And then the company is a public company now. So the company went to public in 2021, and then that was 3.5 years ago. After that, we have enjoyed great success and growth of the company. So we have enough cash. We have enough money to support our expansion.
We don't have grants in Russia for that.
Not a problem. We support ourselves, and we have very good revenue.
your growth for the past 3 years. So we're fast becoming the top player in China in both the peripheral and the neurovascular interventions.
If you can talk about that, of course, I want to ask, but you can.
Sure.
What new products does the company have in the pipeline?
Oh, sure. I love to talk about it.
Okay,
I think there are a few things which are we are very proud of. Because in the future, I think the industry is evolving into a direction where you really have to simplify the procedures, provide the best clinical values, and then give the patients and the doctors the best weapons you have. So a few things we have. One I mentioned to you is that the OCT. Optical coherence, sort of tomography guided plaque removal device, very similar to TurboHawk, where you have 6,000 RPM, 10,000 RPM spinning, and then cut off the plaques and then the fats, everything, and clear the blood vessel again, such as CTO and others. That I think is very good.
This debulking technology. Yeah.
Yeah, debulking. Yeah, absolutely debulking.
It is very interesting nowadays, I think, in every country.
Yeah, absolutely in every country, debulking. But the good thing is you have eyes there.
Yes.
So that we have OCT guide you real time as you move along. So, no, move to the middle. You don't want to touch the vessel wall, right? It's beautiful. And then the complication rate is dropped from 20% with the TurboHawk all the way to like less than 1%. We're very proud of this one. That's one thing. Another is we see the shockwave devices where you have the balloons. We use the shocking wave to crack the calcified lesion along the way. But this time we combine that with the drug-eluting balloon. So as you crack the whole thing, also the liquids from the balloon also seeps out and get into the tissue. As you move that, sort of propel that into there, you basically do two things all at once. Also, you have a long-lasting efficacy. So because the drug is remaining behind, not only you crack the calcified lesion, also you expand the lumen of the blood vessel. At the same time, you provide the drug in there, or 3-in-1. So those are the products where we are developing. Also, we are developing the sort of the contour for the neurovascular intervention. You have the flow diverters, have the surface treated, surface coated flow diverters, and then you have the web. Basically, it's called a contour shape of the thing to cover the aneurysm in your blood vessels inside the brain. Traditionally, you do the detachable coil and then assisting exactly. So right now we can do the devices where you just like
older version.
Older and newer version as well, like an umbrella or just balloons. Put it in there. It's made of nitinol and block the whole thing, stabilize the aneurysm basically. So those are the new things we are working on. Very exciting.
In Asian countries, I think cerebral atherosclerosis is like a usual thing, I think.
Yes.
And for cerebral arteries, it's very important to have some devices for treat that.
Yes, we have a full suite of devices or tools to help the patients for both ischemic as well as the sort of what we call bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke. So we have balloons, we have the stents, we have clot retrieving devices, the stents. We also have aspiration catheters to help you. Or we also have the sort of glue type of to help the AV malformation inside the brain. So we have a AV base covered.
Tell us about some of the product of the company that you're proud of. maybe it's something else than.
We are the second to put the drug-coated balloons in China. That is very, very successful. Also, a lot of the supporting catheters. We have the #1 market share in China, including Medtronic, Stryker, Johnson & Johnson, Microvention. Altogether, we're #1 share. So, our products is well received, well liked by the physicians. So those are the products we also are, in the final process of getting approval for the drug-eluting stents for peripheral there as well. And as I mentioned, the newer generation stents for the carotid arteries as well. And we also working on neuromodulation as well.
Neuromodulation?
Modulation for the neurological disorders for both inside the brain, also along the spinal cord, peripheral nerve stimulation or intervention. So the company is also working on that as well. Yeah,
I think it's very expensive.
Yes, it is.
That kind of.
Yeah, but that's something we're working on.
Can you predict future trends in the industry?
Yes, I thought about the question. I'm a technical guy. I do invention, research, development of medical devices for sure. So what I think for the industry, right, going forward, there are a few trends. The major companies such as Johnson & Johnson, Medtronic, Boston Scientific, and so on, they are continue to do very well in terms of getting the market. They're doing everything, but the idea or truly innovative products are going to come from small companies because they're nimble, they're very creative, and then they can move very fast. So they're going to supply a lot of things into the major companies. In China, I hope we're going to be one of the baby Medtronic or Johnson & Johnson or Boston Scientific in China. So in terms of the product design itself, I think a few things. One, AI is important. Yeah. So, in terms of doing the diagnosis, planning for the surgery, look at the the data you got from MRI, CT scan, so on and so forth. And then predict and guide you to do something else. So that is the AI is going to be one part of it. Also, the devices where you have multiple modalities, even before you do the treatment and during the treatment, also after treatment, you're going to have, a lot of automated process or advanced analysis products to help you along the way. Those are the second options. Third, I think you may have the personalized medicine in a sense, because right now all the products we produce one and one size for all. All the immunoreceptors 4 millimeter of diameter or 6 millimeter of diameter. But in the future, we're going to look at your anatomy and a disease problem and pick off the shelf. So, hey, this is right for you. Not exactly, sort of improved version of that. Of course, this is not going to be for emergency, but for selective surgery. Yes. You take a look and just like you do the dental features, give you 1 or 2 months. But here we look at the vessel, look at it, say, DCB may not be the best for you, but we'll choose of this the size and so on. You send this back to the factory, and 1 week later, they just ship the products to the surgeons. Hey, this is for Dr. Alex, he's going to treat this patient with this one. So you have optimize the outcome.
It sounds good, but
I think
logistic, it's too expensive for that.
Yes, in general, it's not easy because it takes time. And then, the factory is going to put extra efforts to make the products, and for you, that's going to be expensive indeed. But this probably will for high-end patients. If you can wait, if you can have the money, you can have the resource to do that, sure. But for general, for 80%, you still have to use the standardized devices, such as standard balloon or stents or any device that do the dirty work, so to speak, get the job done.
interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Well,
but interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But AI is one of them. Also automation.
Okay.
Just like robotic surgery, Da Vinci, a lot of things, because they're not emotional. They're very steady hands. They can perform the
like
procedure.
For some far places with no surgery.
Exactly. And then you can remotely guide the surgeries around there, and then use your hands over here and guide the.
But it needs some medical technicians.
Yes.
That guy. Need to know everything.
And that guy
know everything, yeah.
Absolutely. And then the big shots like you over here, as remote places, just set up, I'll do this, remotely. And then there you're going to have a team. They're going to have a operating room to get everything ready and go over. Actually, we are working on a few things to help us do the injection, near the spinal cord, I think subdural space there, where we think the doctors actually may not be as good as the machine, where it's emotional and it gets the algorithm done, injected in there without piercing or over piercing or, get it too close to the spinal cord and so on. So we're working on things like this. It's a lot of fun.
In a nutshell, I think AI, robotic, and then analysis.
More analysis, yes. Yeah. Exactly. Improve the outcome. Also, a lot of devices will utilize multimodality, meaning not simply just the implant. We're going to have implant with signals, for example, get the signal and send it outside the body, so you can visualize, you can see, and then additional, the second intervention, you're going to have a much better information. Or some devices, for example, stents or something draining from the brain there, you're going to have something in there that continuously send out a signal for you to monitor your health. And then tell the doctors whether you want to get a second intervention or third intervention as well. It is happening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well.